I'm really excited to be here. I'm an artist by profession, and my passion always has to do with connection and what I call the miracle or the flip. And in my experience, there's the rowing against reality, rowing against the stream, and sooner or later, something occurs in my mind and the minds of people that I've been around, where all of a sudden they have turned the boat around and they're going with the flow, and the realization of God's love or bliss or this immense gratitude occurs. And sometimes that occurs through just staring in my wife's eyes or in a friend's eyes, and all of a sudden, all of the stuff that was going the wrong way lines up and goes the right way. And my first question has to do with, it seems to be different for me. The last few steps before that flip occurs seem to be rage at God, feeling angry that I'm being deprived in some way. Or, and then after, if I'm willing to feel that, the next thing that seems to arise is usually some kind of a heartbreak. And then all of a sudden, I can feel God's love. Now, that's different than the process that you describe consistently, where, it goes from anger to frustration to, I guess I forgot, depression. And, eventually it gets to allowing. And I just wanted you to address the difference in those two, and why is my experience so different than the one that you described?
Because you like drama.
Okay.
But let us explain it to you from the laws as we understand them to be.
Yeah.
So, as you stand wherever you are, and you know that you don't want that, which means you do want that. Mm-hmm. And almost as soon as you identify that you don't want that and that you do want that, you turn your undivided attention to what you do want. So you just begin flowing in the direction of it. So it's sort of like you ask and it's given, you ask and it's given, you ask and it's given, you ask and it's given. But sometimes, depending upon how you've been taught, how much struggle has been reinforced into your experience, how much drama you like, sometimes you know what you don't want, which causes you to know what you do want, but you really know what you don't want, which causes you to really know what you do want, but you really know what you don't want, which causes you to really know what you do want, but you really know what you don't want. You really, really, really know what you don't want. Don't you know what you don't want? Don't you know? Let's see if I can find an online chat group that agrees with me about what we do not want. Let's join those groups about what we do not want. Why would God do something so awful to us in other words, as you dramatize what you do not want, law of attraction continues to respond to you. And so what's happening is the stakes are getting more. In other words, a really knowing what you don't want gives birth to a really knowing what you do want. Now, here is the most exciting thing about your powerful question. The more you live life, the more you dig into it, every time you know what you don't want, you cause your stream to go faster, because every time you know what you do want, you're asking, even if you don't stop and say, what I want is, there is an implied, understood knowing by the universe of what you are asking for. And so the non-physical part of you is becoming. And by the nature of the drum that you're beating, you're not coming along. But remember, this is not Disneyland, and you can't turn the stream off. And so the stream is flowing faster and faster and faster and faster. And sooner or later, you got to sleep. Okay. Or something will happen that will distract you for a moment. In other words, a little bit of allowing goes a long way in a very fast-moving stream, you see. And so that's the flip that you're talking about.
Yeah, it definitely feels like exactly what you're talking about. And sometimes I just spend time with my wife looking into her eyes, or a friend looking into their eyes, and I'll notice all the paddling against, and then all of a sudden I can start to feel what feels like grace, and it's now moving in
Well,
the
what
direction
that is a meditative process. In other words, when you're doing something like staring into someone's eyes, that's paramount to deep breathing. That's paramount to putting your brain on pause. That's the same sort of thing as meditation. When you quiet your mind, you stop thought. When you stop thought, you stop resistant thought. When you stop resistant thought, that's that flip you're talking about. Okay. That's that turning in the stream. Yeah. Good. Yeah. And friends, there is not anything wrong with letting life cause you to give birth to more and more desires. We are not for a moment suggesting that you should just, in a limp way, want and get, want and get, want and get, want and get. We understand. You have come forth because you understand the power of the contrast. You know that big desires are born out of bigger contrast, and you love the feeling of big desires. One of the things that Esther has been most annoyed with us about is that she remembers wanting things from a place of not believing that they could happen, and she remembers the drama of those desires. And she remembers thinking that if something that big could happen, how it would just take my breath away. And it annoys her that things can't happen when there's that much distance between what she's asking for and what her belief or expectation is. It's annoying that she has to get into the place of fully expecting it, so it's just the next logical step before it happens, because she, like you, like all of you, does like the drama of it. But we promise you, once you get into the rhythm of remembering law of attraction, and once you deliberately, day by day, you see, we are not teaching you how to line up with your energy so that you'll get your stuff. Oh, you'll get your stuff. The manifestations must come, but we are not teaching you to line up with your desire so that the manifestations will occur. We're encouraging you to get moving in the direction, because the ride on the river is what you really, really want. Esther had a salad in a restaurant in Eugene, Oregon not so long ago, and they were so tuned in. They'd had such a wonderful day. They were in love with each other and in love with the restaurant and in love with the people that they had come to see again on another visit, and so they were making friends with people that they'd seen before. And when the waiter put the salad down, Esther felt ripples go all up through her body, and she said, "What is in that salad?" And we say, when you're already tuned in, when you are allowing yourself to be in the vibrational alignment with who you really are, then everything that you are living feels like that. Then you can receive those insightful, come this way, come this way, come this way. And your inner being is always calling you toward the culmination of that which you have set into motion. But we don't want you, and sometimes it happens. You hear stories like that, or you have experiences like that, and then you're bummed out when you're over here beating a negative drum and not feeling like that. And we want you to feel all right no matter where you are. We want you to give yourself the benefit of the doubt and make peace with where you are, wherever it is. And in that attitude, you'll just keep turning, and you'll just keep turning until you'll begin to live a predominant amount of life right there, close to that vibrational becoming, hearing the call of source guiding you minutely, infinitesimally, step by step toward all of the things that you're wanting. And that really is what you planned. You wanted life to be like that for you. You didn't intend to make it hard. You intended to feel the blessing that you know you are deserving of. And when you're hearing that voice, you're in that mode. Yeah, good.
Absolutely.
Yes, very good.
So, yes. When you described the salad, my heart burst into tears of gratitude for hearing your words, because to me, that's the goal, and often the feedback that I get for the artworks that I create, that they're like this salad that illuminates people's lives.
Well, everything about that salad had been grown. It had been growing in a garden that morning. It had been carefully gathered by someone who cared about what they were delivering to them, and had been carried in a basket and carefully washed and then carefully arranged. In other words, all of the intention that had been placed around that salad was such a vibrational match to the appreciation that Jerry and Esther were flowing. And so it was that exchange, and that's the way you are intending to live life. But our message to you is, if you're not feeling that way, it's okay too. Just do the best you can from where you are, and eventually that will predominate. Very awesome. Good.
Thank you. Can I ask one more question?
Can he?
It's a simple question. I have a 4-year-old daughter. My wife is concerned sometimes. We take her to a Waldorf school, which suggests that watching movies is a bad thing for the development of a 4-year-old's mind. And I'm just wondering, is media a bad thing for kids when they're growing up, or is it more important that they're around loving parents? I mean, the stories that are in a lot of these movies seem really positive and uplifting to me. I just want to know, is it healthy or unhealthy?
There is nothing that we would say is so bad that you could not extract something good from it. And there is nothing so good that there's not the potential of finding something unwanted within it. And so it's not the movie yes or no, it's the vibrational stance as you're approaching the movie. However, if you go to a school where you've been taught that movies are bad and you accept that they are a bad thing, and then you try to watch a movie, there's a strong possibility that you might be paddling upstream while you do it. So the very exercise could be an exercise in sort of pulling you apart. As the parent of this wonderful child, the stance that we would take and the knowing that we would focus upon to bring to the forefront, and as you find this, you will always know what to do. Imagine what that child's inner being is saying. In other words, your work as a parent is not to give your child all kinds of rules about what to do and what not to do. In fact, that's the opposite. That's why so many people are paddling upstream, because they're trying to keep up with all of the rules that have been offered to them. You see, most people, when they look at something that makes them feel bad, they want less of that. When they look at something that makes them feel good, they want more of that. So then they set out to try to control conditions rather than tending to their vibration. And that's what almost every rule and law and requirement is about. And that's what that school is doing too. It's saying, we see bad things in these movies, and so we are banning these movies. And we say, anytime you are doing that, it's an upstream sort of battle. And you'll never sort it out. Look at how you try to sort that out.
My daughter gets so excited about seeing a movie. My wife's afraid if she sees a movie, it'll ruin her life.
And that's a minor example of what's going on with people who are struggling against all of these rules. So then you say to yourself, so my little one is just like the rest of us. She's come forth from source energy, and she's living life which is causing her to constantly expand. And she has an inner being who is alive and well, and who has become
You've met her.
That expanded version of who she is. And so when she feels enthusiasm for something, that's her source calling her forward. And so your work as a parent or as a mentor of a child or of anyone that you're wanting to be of value to, your work is not to get on that old bandwagon that never works for anyone of trying to sift through all of the possible do's and don'ts and decide which are the right ones and which are the wrong ones. Your work as the teacher that you were born to be is to find a way of teaching through the clarity of your example what it's like to line up with your source and what it's like not to. In other words, be real. When you're feeling negative emotion, say, I'm not letting myself go with the flow. I'm nowhere near the vibrational alignment with who I am. Excuse me for a little while. I'm going to go off and try to think some thoughts that get me turned around in this stream. I want to go in the direction of what feels good. And as you remember that your value to your daughter is to do anything you can to amplify her alignment with source, her awareness of source, her awareness of what her emotions mean, then you will inspire her to her true connection with source, and she'll be good to go wherever she is.
So in words that she would understand, that would be like, I can see you're really excited about seeing a movie.
In words that she would understand, it's, honey, when you feel this good about something, go with it.
Okay.
And if somebody says, my teacher says it's wrong, then say, then she shouldn't go with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very good. Now what?